Ready? Let's do this thing. There we go. All right, I got Hayes Griffin here. Hayes, you made it into the basement. Hayes films in the basement. I film in the basement, and we both noticed that Marcel films upstairs. But here's what we have to say to that. To quote the great Sean Astin from Goonies, "Up there it's your time, Marcel, but down here it's our time. It's our time down here." So thank you, Rudy, for that inspiration.
Yes, exactly.
Hayes is an international bluegrass superstar, great player. I think channel of the same name, Hayes Griffin, on YouTube.
You got it.
Hayes Guitar Club, and following the international rules, like Parliament, you are a sword and a half away. The two houses in Parliament, they meet a sword and a half away.
Yeah.
In bluegrass, you have to be at least one tailor away. So we are one tailor away from each other in this room.
Just so we're in regulation here.
We want to talk about some stuff while we got him here. So we both teach, and we both teach a lot of adult learners, a lot of adult beginners and stuff, or intermediate, or however you want to say it. And so I think there's an advantage, or some advantages, to being adult learners. Everybody has a lot of good things to say about the kids, and so the kids learn the best, or the kids learn the fastest, or they, you can't keep up with these kids or whatever. But let's be honest about these kids. You wouldn't trust them to make you a sandwich.
Truth.
Right. So let's put out some ideas about what is an advantage of an adult learner. And I'll tell you one right away. Adults they can focus and schedule. They're used to being on a schedule, which means you get a lot more disciplined practicer. Somebody that's settled and can say, I am going to set aside this amount of time. I don't have unlimited time. I got other things to do, but I have this amount of time. I don't know what that is, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever you got, 15. They say, I can set aside this time, and I can schedule that practice. What do you think some advantages of being an adult learner are?
The first idea that I had was kind of related to that one, because I think one advantage to being an adult is that by the time you reach adulthood, there's probably some skill that you have achieved mastery in.
Yeah.
So that means you have an idea for how to take something from zero to proficient.
Right.
And develop a system and realize that there are certain steps that need to be in there in order to make progress with a phenomenon,
You know that you're not going to get it right away.
Exactly.
You know it's going to take some time. Although I think this is a disadvantage in some ways to an adult learner, because the ears are mature. And so since the ears are mature, and you see other adults playing, not knowing how whether they started at the age of 6 or 26, the ears can hear good music, and so sometimes we're disappointed with ourselves if we can't make good music right away. So there's a tick in the other column.
Yeah, it's like a double-sided,
Well, isn't it always?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness, right?
Right. Yeah, they keep telling me that.
Yeah. Part of learning music like this is the social aspect
Yeah.
of learning it and interacting with other people.
Right.
And as an adult, I feel like you're innately more in tune with social norms
Yes.
and things that will help you out in a jam session, and being able to read the room and read social cues. I see this happen with a lot of my younger students, and it's no fault of theirs because that's just the idea of being young and inexperienced. They'll go into a jam session and like break some of the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're not so aware of those like social norms, or don't have the ability to scan the room and kind of, like you said, read it. Is this even the place that I need to be right now? You know?
Read the room. So, Dad, when I was a kid, in Illinois where we live, the jamming is very safe. Everybody was very welcome when I was growing up. And I remember we made our first trip to Bean Blossom, and I was at the Illinois festivals. I was always given free reign. Just you go to any jam. Everybody knows. If they didn't know me, they knew Dad.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a jam at Bean Blossom, and Dad could see things in that jam that a kid couldn't see. And I was like, well, this looks like a good jam. And I started walking toward it. I took like one step, and there's a hand on my shoulder. Like, I think we'll find you another jam. And I didn't know, maybe there was some moonshine in that jam. I didn't know what moonshine was. But Dad might have gone back and found out.
Well, another distinct advantage to being an adult in Bluegrass, you can join the moonshine jams.
You can join the moonshine jam. Okay, what else you got?
Yeah, so I think one distinct advantage to being an adult is the fact that you have resources, financial resources,
Right.
or maybe not even financial resources, but just resources that a young person doesn't have access to.
Well, yeah, you can make a decision. You don't have to bug your parents whether or not gonna go get the guitar to buy.
Can I get the new book or
the
whatever?
lessons or whatever? Yeah. It's kind of like being a grown up going to a toy store. I was like, well, I can afford all these things now.
Yeah.
Said, how come I couldn't have any of this when I was a kid? Well, you ate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you had.
For sure, but I think that matters, right? That's why they have scholarship programs for kids at music camps, because
Right.
they can't afford it. But like an adult, if you have a full-time job, you could save for a year and go to Kaufman camp or whatever, right?
Well, there goes again to the discipline that I think adults can have is like, saving up for something, but that's also, again, something little day by day that can turn into something big. That's what practicing music is. What can I do every day, not for the result today, but for the result a year from now, 6 months ago? That's what being a musician is. It's not about the result today. And kids, get in a hurry. Now, we're going to flip this now and talk about the kids. What's the advantage of being a kid? And I think maybe we can still tap into some of this as an adult. And one thing that kids can do is kids are very happy with minimal advancement.
Yes.
If a kid learns Mary Had a Little Lamb, he's excited. If a kid learns Old Joe Clark, he's excited. Adults maybe are waiting to be excited until they get a little further down the road. Man, celebrate that you can play a G chord.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrate that you can change chords. Man, I'm on my way. I can change chords. I'm going to be changing chords for the rest of my life. I don't care if the first change is... because it might take you 6 months before you can change cleanly from G to C, in all honesty. So celebrate it when you can do it.
Absolutely.
Like, have you ever seen, kids learn better. Have you ever been to a 5th grade band concert?
Oh, man.
It is brutal. Son, they've been working on that all year. Those songs you just heard, they've been at those for months.
Yep.
And all the grandparents are like, they did so good. Did you listen to that, Grandma? Did you listen to that? Everybody's excited about it. So be excited with your steps along the way. That would be one thing I would say.
Yeah, and that's what Grandma really is excited about anyways, the fact that Johnny accomplished something in that year, however little it was, right?
However little it was. Good job, Johnny. Hayes, let's go out. Let's pick one more. Why don't you kick it off, and let's finish up. I have andyslessons.com. Hayes has got Hayes Guitar Club. Links are in the description. Let's pick a little more of, what was that tune we played called?
Dixie Hoedown?
Let's play a little more Dixie Hoedown, man.
Yeah, nice.
You
Man.
kick it.
Awesome.
nothing as seamless as two people tagging a song at the same time.